Wonderful news is unfolding in the next 7 hours. He is telling you this plainly, before anything else, because he does not want you turning away from this moment. Something real is already moving toward your life. If you walk away now, you will miss what was set apart for you alone. So stay. Listen closely, because his voice is reaching you for a reason. He is not delaying this. He is not hiding it. Within these next 7 hours, a shift is forming that will touch your situation in a way you never expected. It is not small or ordinary. It will change how you feel and think, and how you see the path ahead. Knows how easily you grow tired. He knows how quickly your focus wants to move on to the next thing. But this is no time to drift. This is the time to be still and receive. Your heart has been waiting for relief, for confirmation, for things to finally go in your favor. That waiting is about to meet its answer. You have carried a quiet burden for a long time. You learned to keep going even when nothing felt certain. He watched you do it. He saw the nights you felt alone and the mornings you got up anyway, not knowing why you bothered. None of that escaped him. Not 1 hour of it. Hear him on this. What is coming is not random. It is connected to everything you have endured and everything you have trusted him with. He does not scatter blessings into the wind and hope they land. He aims them. And this blessing carries your name. Claim this with your amen if you. He believes this hour is theirs. Some blessings arrive quietly, and people miss them while waiting for thunder. Not this time. He is sharpening their focus right now so that when goodness begins, they will recognize it. That is why he asked them to stay. Their awareness right now is part of what he is doing. They may feel a sense of urgency stirring in their spirit. They must not mistake it for fear. It is awareness. It is the feeling that something is near, and their soul knows it before their mind can explain it. He placed that feeling there. Trusting it the next 7 hours are not ordinary hours. They are filled with movement that concerns them directly. There are requests they made, long ago ones they almost stopped believing in. He did not lose a single one of them. He has been arranging what they could not see, setting the pieces in order, choosing the moment. That moment is closer than they think. They are not being ignored. They have never been forgotten. Every step brought them here, even the steps that felt like stumbling. He knows it has not been easy. He knows there were stretches where nothing seemed to change no matter what they did. But they are now stepping into a space where things begin to move in their favor. And they will feel the difference. Before they can prove it, they must stay open. What is coming is not meant to overwhelm them. It is meant to lift them. He is not bringing confusion into their life. He is bringing clarity. He is not bringing loss. He is bringing restoration. The stirring they feel right now is the first edge of that shift. And it will. His words grow stronger as hours pass. They must watch for small signs. A sudden thought that settles the soul. A moment of peace that arrives without explanation. A door that yields when they expected it to hold fast. They must not brush these aside. These are his. He speaks to their heart before the mind understands, and he is speaking now. This is their moment to stay near and not turn away. What is coming is something they have needed. Even if they never found the words to ask for it, he answers life, not just the request. That is why this will feel deeply personal when it arrives, because it is. Their hearts must stay steady. They are not walking through this hour alone. He is with them, leading them through it with care. And he never leads carelessly. He knows the ground ahead of them, knowing where it rises and where it falls. And he knows exactly where he is taking them. They must not let doubt pull at their sleeve. Doubt always shows up loudest right before the answer comes whispering to them that this moment is like any other moment, that nothing is different, that they should look away. But it is wrong. This hour matters more than doubt could ever understand. They are not here by accident. Their spirit recognized that something important was happening, and it held them in place. Honor that. remaining where they are in this stillness, with his voice surrounding them. What happens next is between them and him. He wants them to breathe slowly as they listen, letting their shoulders drop. Let the racing in their minds grow quiet. The believer does not need to solve anything in this moment. They do not need to perform or prove or strive. They only need to receive. That is the entire task before them, and it is enough. There is a reason this word found them now and not last week nor next month. Timing is never loose in his hands. He moves when the moment is full, not a breath before and not a breath after. This moment is full. That is why they are hearing this. So they let the noise of the day fade away, letting every worry wait outside for a little while for the next stretch of time. They are not the one holding everything together. He is, and he assures them with the full weight of his word behind it. That very good news is already on its way to them. It left his hand the moment they began to listen. Now comes the part of this that is most personal. What he is bringing is connected to something they have carried quietly. There are things they never fully told. Anyone things they pressed down because they did not know how to say them, or because they feared no one would understand. He saw those hidden rooms of their heart. He has always had the key, and what is coming will reach into that exact place and begin to bring relief. They may soon notice a calm arriving where pressure used to live. That calm is not their imagination, and it is not a mood. It is his presence settling over them. When he moves, peace comes first, because peace is what makes a heart able to receive. They do not resist. They let it sink all the way down. Something is also shifting in the way. They think they are beginning to see possibility where they once saw only walls. Ideas feel less impossible than they did a season ago. That is his work. Before he changes what surrounds them, he strengthens what is inside them so that when the change arrives, their hands are steady, enough to hold it. They have walked through moments that made them question their worth. They were heavy, and they left their marks. But he is not leaving them in that place. For his precious child, what is coming will begin to rebuild what was shaken in them, beam by beam until they stand without, bracing themselves. They should not look back at what failed and call it a prophecy of their future. It was a chapter. It was never the whole story. He is writing something new now, and it will not read like the past. It carries a different weight, a different air, a different ending. Understand this clearly. The good news he spoke of is not a single event that flashes and fades. It is a beginning. It is the first link in a chain of moments that will build upon one another. What opens within these hours will lead to what follows next week and what follows after that. It may start small, a word from an unexpected mouth, a realization that lands while they are doing something ordinary, an answer arriving through a door they had stopped watching. He often begins with something simple so that they can recognize his hand in it. They should not despise the small opening. Rivers begin as springs. There is also a release happening. Something that was held back is now permitted to move toward them. They will feel it as motion where everything once felt fast and shut. Progress where there was only standing still. It has already begun. Even if evidence is still on its way, he knows the waiting stretched longer than they expected. He knows it wore on their patience, tested their faith. There were seasons when the silence felt like an answer in itself, and that answer felt like a no. But silence was never his absence. He does not abandon what he has spoken over, not ever. They say they receive it, if this word reaches their spirit. Right now, they stay steady, because what unfolds next is meant to be received with peace, not chased with anxiety. They do not need to rush anything. They do not need to force a single door. They remain present, remain willing, and let things fall into their proper places. He is ordering every step, and he does not make mistakes. They may feel a gentle pull towards some small action, a conversation they should have, a step they should finally take, decision that suddenly seems clear. They notice that pull. He leads in ways that feel calm and unhurried, never frantic. When guidance comes from him, clarifies when pressure comes from. Fear it confuses. Learning the difference, they will never be lost. There is a reason he calls them to. Stay close. Their attention is joined to their awareness, and their awareness is joined to their receiving. The more awake they are to what he is doing, the more fully they will take hold of it. A blessing recognized is a blessing kept. They are not being left behind. They are being positioned. There is a difference, and they are about to feel it. Positioning takes patience, and they gave that patience even when it cost them. Now, they are stepping into what patience? Purchased. Others may seem to move faster. They must not. Measure their road by others. What he shaped for them would not fit another life, and what he gave others would sit crooked in theirs. Their path was cut to their frame. Walking it, they will walk it in peace. Keeping their hearts open because what is arriving is meant to fill a space that has stood empty too long. He is not sending something temporary. He is not in the habit of building what collapses. What comes will stay and it will grow, and they will not have to grip it with white knuckles to keep it. It will rest in their life the way a stone rests in its setting. Their inner world and their outer world are being aligned at the same time. That is why these days feel strange as if something is moving underneath. Everything, something is. The ground is not shaking. It is being leveled. He also wants them to notice how they have already changed. They do not react the way they once did. Things that would have undone them a year ago now pass through them and leave them standing. They thought no one noticed that growth. He noticed. It matters more than they know, and it is part of why this moment has arrived. So their breathing can slow again. Let the old bracing in their chest unclench. They have spent years ready for bad news, shoulders up, guarding the door. He is asking them to stand ready for good news instead. It is a different posture. It feels unfamiliar at first, like a language they have not spoken since childhood. They speak it anyway. They will remember it faster than they think, and what he is sending will meet them in it. There is a quiet preparation unfolding around them. Even now, though, their surroundings look unchanged. He is arranging what they cannot see. He is softening the road so that what comes does not overwhelm them when it arrives. They asked for change. Change is taking form, and there is something he is asking of them as it does. He is asking his child to place a portion of what they have something of. Real weight upon the altar of this. Work like gold laid on the scales of this. Calling. Let it be a seed sown in deep water, an offering set on stone, never held back, in fear. This is proof that their trust rests in his hand to provide, and that their heart no longer clings to lack. What they release in faith does not leave their life. It moves ahead of them into the harvest he is preparing. Now he will speak to them about doors. There are doors they knocked on for years that never opened. They stood outside, them in every kind of weather, wondering what was wrong with them. Nothing was wrong with them. Those doors were never theirs. Some of them led to rooms that would have cost them more than they gave. He kept them shut because he loves them not, because he forgot them. But there's a door that fits their path, and he is opening it. Now, it will not resist them. They will not have to force the hinges or beg at the threshold. When it begins to move, they will feel the difference immediately. The way a key feels when it finally turns. What is theirs opens toward them. Remember this, that they might receive something in these hours. They might hear something. They may suddenly understand something that has confused them for years. They must watch those moments closely. He does not always move with noise. Sometimes he moves through deep understanding. Sometimes he moves through a single quiet thought that rearranges everything. They should not overlook that power just because it arrives without trumpets. He knows there were times they nearly gave up completely. He knows there were prayers they could not finish because their words ran out halfway through. He heard the entire prayer, anyway, including the parts they never managed to speak. He heard what their silence was asking for, and he is answering them now in a way that will remind them he was listening all along. The waiting season is finally closing. The receiving season is now opening. The change between them is quiet at first, like the way turned from winter to spring. No single morning announces it, But one day, air is different, and then the ground is different, and soon everything is different. They are standing at that. Turning now, they must not rush ahead. They must stay present. What comes is not meant to scatter them. It is meant to settle them. Direction will replace uncertainty. Decisions that felt like mountains will flatten into simple steps. Clarity is one of his quietest gifts, and one of his strongest. There are things they have gripped tightly for a long time that are now being loosened from their hands. Not because they were bad, but because they belong to the road behind them not. The road ahead. He is clearing space in their life. What comes needs room to settle. The old weight must go. They were never meant to carry it across this border. They spent long nights trying to understand why certain things fell apart. That confusion followed them like a shadow. They must realize some of what collapsed was collapsing away from them, not on top of them. He pulled them back from edges they never saw. One day they will look back at those losses and call them rescues. He is guiding them toward what will serve their future, not what flattered their past. A new alignment is forming between their thoughts, their feelings, and their steps. They used to argue with one another. One believed, one doubted, one froze. Now they are beginning to move together, and the war inside them is going quiet. That quiet is not emptiness. It is order. Their strength is also returning, and they may have already noticed it in small ways. They feel more steady, more focused, less at the mercy of every wave. That is him building them from within before he builds around them. He always reinforces the vessel before he fills it. What is arriving will not leave them uncertain. Even if it surprises them, it will not feel wrong. That is one of the surest marks of his hand. What he sends carries peace inside it the way fruit carries its seed. If a thing brings dread and confusion and a knot in their stomach, it did not come from him. They must test everything by its peace. They must understand the hour they are in. They are not early. They are not late. Every road they took, even the crooked ones, delivered them to this exact place, right at this exact time. They may begin to see the connection soon. How seemingly unrelated moments were quietly cooperating. That is no coincidence. That is divine authorship. Fear must not interrupt what is now unfolding. Fear will try to rise because it always fights for new territory. It has no claim here. This moment belongs to trust. They do not need to guard against what the Lord is sending. They do not need to hold a hand behind their back. They can open both hands. This is theirs. Something in them that felt broken is being mended in ways they cannot see happen. They will simply notice one day, soon, that a place which used to hurt, when they touched it, no longer does. Wholeness returns like strength after a fever, quietly and then all at once. Let it come. They have carried that crack long enough. The Lord is the one repairing what everyone else only patches, and he has already begun. Let them see how a river finds the sea. It does not study maps. It does not argue with the mountains. It follows the shape of the land that was carved before it arrived. And it trusts the slope to know the way. Their life is entering water like that. Now the path has been carved. They do not have to carve the canyon. They only have to flow where the way has opened. For a long time they have lived like a river pushing against rock. Everything took twice the effort it should have. They watched simple things become complicated in their hands. And they wondered if resistance was simply their portion in this life. It was not. It was a season, and seasons obey him. Now the resistance is lifting. They will feel it first in small daily details on an ordinary day. A conversation that flows smoothly where it always used to snag, a task that finishes early. A person who says yes without their usual pleading. Things that once pushed against them will begin to yield. They must not question the ease. Ease is also his signature. People around them will begin to respond differently as well. Some will offer help they never requested. Some will speak well of them in rooms they have never entered. He has ways of assigning voices to their cause. Favor is not something they can chase down. It is something he sets upon a life, and he is setting it upon theirs. He is also arranging meetings they know nothing about yet. There are certain people positioned along their path the way wells are, positioned along a desert road, placed there long before the traveler grows thirsty. When they reach them, it will feel like luck. It will not be luck. Nothing on this road is luck. They must watch for moments that stand out from the ordinary flow of the day. It may seem slight, a sentence that lands strangely in their chest, a name that surfaces twice in one afternoon, an opportunity that appears sideways, disguised as something small. These are hinges great doors swing on, small hinges, and he hangs his quietly. Timing matters more here than they can measure. If this had come earlier, it would have. Found them unready, and they would have. Handled a holy thing with tired hands. If it had come later, it would have. Missed the need. It comes now because. Now is when it fits. His calendar has no misprints. They have watched others harvest while. Their own field stood bare, and it stung. He saw the sting. But a field is not dead because it is quiet. The farmer rests certain ground on purpose so the soil can grow rich enough for a heavier crop. Their quiet years were not barren. They were deep soil foaming. What grows? Next needed all of them. They must not curse. The seasons behind them. Each one carried its assignment. The cold months did. Their hidden work beneath their feet. And the ground they stand on is different now because of them. Spring does not apologize for winter. It simply arrives with everything winter made possible. There is also work happening below their sight. The way a builder lays a foundation before anyone sees a wall. Neighbors walk past a foundation and see nothing worth admiring. Then the structure rises in what seems like days, and they call it sudden. It was never sudden. It was sequenced. Their life is in the foundation days right now. And the rising is near. This is why he tells them not to judge the project by the state of the yard. What he is building for them has been drawn, measured, and begun. The materials are already purchased, some are already on the ground. They're not waiting for a decision. The decision was made. They are waiting for a stage of construction, and stages have completion dates. Their part in this hour is not effort. It is agreement. They walk with the current instead of against it. When a door opens, they walk through, without questioning the hinge. When help is offered, they take it without examining the kindness. Receiving is its own act of trust, and, for anyone who has survived on, self-reliance. It is the hardest act he asks of them. He knows self-reliance kept them alive through tough years. It stood guard when they felt completely alone. He does not despise it, but the years ahead do not run on survival. They run on partnership with him. The hands that learned to grip must now learn to receive, and he will be patient while they learn. They will also notice their own pace, shifting. The frantic edge is leaving their steps. They are beginning to move, like a soul who knows something good is promised rather than someone braced for the next blow. That steady walk is not carelessness. It is faith showing up in the body. Let it shine. And when the first piece of good news arrives, this is what he asks. They must not shrink it with suspicion, nor stand over it, wondering when it will be taken away. They must thank him, plainly taking hold of it fully, and watch what it becomes. Gratitude is the soil where a first blessing grows. What is truly honored multiplies. The current is already moving, even while his voice still echoes in their ears. Somewhere, arrangements they did not make are being made. Somewhere, a matter with their name on it is being settled in their favor. They are not hearing about some distant plan, but the actual sound of one already in motion. They must keep their eyes on the waters ahead, not the rocks behind. The river does not flow backward, and neither does his plan for them. Everything essential is moving in one direction now, and that direction is toward them. They must stay. In the current, they stay near his voice. Sea is closer than it has ever been. Now, he wants to speak of what was drained from them because restoration is not a small word to him. Somewhere along the road, they spent more than they had. They poured out hope until it ran thin. They gave effort until it felt pointless. They kept giving after the well went dry, and they called it duty, telling no one of the heavy cost. He's refilling that dry well now. Not just a cup. They will feel it as energy returning to things that had gone gray. Food will taste like something again. Small plans will feel worth making. They will catch themselves thinking about next year without dread. And it will startle them because they cannot remember when they stopped doing that. That is the water rising. Let it rise. Hope that returns after a long absence. Is shy at first. It comes to the edge of the camp like a stray animal ready to bolt if anyone moves too fast. They must not chase or interrogate it. They feed it a little each day, believing one small thing, then another. Hope grows tame in hearts that stop, pushing it away. Disappointment taught them some crooked lessons, and he intends to correct them. It taught them that wanting things is dangerous, teaching them to celebrate. Nothing until it is certain, and to trust nothing certain either. Those lessons kept them safe and kept them small. They are done being small. He is teaching them a new lesson now and then. Lesson is this: to ask, want, and expect again. They declare, I trust you out loud. If they believe this is their turning point, there is movement now where things stood. Still so long one stops checking. Matters filed away as finished are quietly reopening. Situations once released with a shrug and a heavy heart are turning back toward them. One shouldn't be surprised when something they buried comes up green. God never signed off on some of those endings. He only let them rest until the right hour. Their body knows this shift before their circumstances show it. They notice how sleep is beginning to come easier some nights. They feel tightness in their chest loosening at odd moments for no reason they can name. There's a reason. The part of them that stands watch has heard footsteps of the good approaching, and it is standing down 1 hour at a time. He is also mending how they speak to themselves because he has heard that voice. And some days it is crueler to them than any enemy ever was. It recites their failures with perfect memory and forgets their victories by mourning. That voice did not come from him. His voice tells them the truth, and the truth is that they are worth the trouble of restoring, or he would not be doing it. The ones they love are also inside this, turning. The ones they carry in prayer, whose names rise from them at night more easily than requests for themselves. He has heard every one of those prayers. Some answers they will get to watch with their own eyes. Others are moving in ways they will learn about later, and they will realize the answer began on an ordinary day when they felt like nothing was happening. Ordinary days are where he does most of his work. They wondered sometimes if praying for them accomplished anything at all. It did. It does. Prayer does not expire because the answer takes the long road. Everything they lifted up is on file in his presence, active and in motion. Nothing they brought to him was set aside. There is also a strength being returned to them that they used to have and lost track of. They were bolder once. They laughed. Easier. They tried things. Life sanded some of that off them, and they accepted the loss as the price of growing older. He is returning it, not youth, the boldness. They were never the same thing. No matter what the years told them, they're going to catch themselves doing things that surprise them. Speaking up where they would have stayed silent. Beginning what they would have postponed. Saying no without writing a speech to justify it. They should not fear this new spine. He installed it. It is load-bearing, and it is going to hold much more than it holds today. Restoration also means the return of desire, and he wants them to let it return without shame. Somewhere they decided that wanting more was ungrateful, that they should be content with survival and ask for nothing further. That is not humility. Humility never required them to want nothing. Bring him the real desires, the ones they keep in the bottom drawer. He has seen them anyway. He put some of them there. What he restores, stronger than the original. Ask anyone he has ever rebuilt. The repaired place becomes the sturdiest part of the whole structure, the part that never fails again. The part others to lean on in their own storms. Their history of being drained is becoming a history of being refilled, and people who are refilled by his hand become wells for others without even trying. That is part of what lies ahead for them. And he says it plainly. They will be someone's evidence, someone watching their life from a distance. someone they may never even know is going to see. This turnaround and realize that maybe their own situation is not final either. Their restoration reaches far beyond them. It always did. There is no cost for this, and no fine print waiting to surprise them. He restores because restoring is his nature. The same way a spring runs because running is its nature. They did not talk him into this, and nothing can talk him out of it. But that is later. Today, their only assignment is to receive what is being poured. They must not hurry this filling and not ration it. They are not taking too much. They cannot take too much from a source that has no bottom. They must stand under the pouring as long as it comes, and let every dry year they have ever lived be answered by this one, season of return. Now let him give them understanding, because understanding is a gift he does not hand out carelessly. They have questions that have followed. They have them for years. Why did that happen? Why? Then why them? Some of those questions he will answer in these coming days, and the answers will land quietly. One connection at a time until pieces that never made sense suddenly fit together in their sight. They will see how a certain closed road steered them onto the path where they found what they actually needed. They will see how a certain loss emptied their hands just in time for them to be free when the better thing arrived. They will trace the line backward and find his intention running through the whole length of it. And they will say slowly, with wonder in their voice, nothing was wasted. Hear him confirm it in advance. Nothing was wasted. That does not mean everything was good. Some of what happened to them grieved him. He will not stand before them and rename evil as blessing. But he will tell them what is also true. Nothing that happened was beyond his reach to work with. There is no wreckage he cannot build from. They handed him broken pieces, some of them, not broken by them. And he has been building this entire time. What he is about to show them is the building. They are receiving this word today because of connection, not chance. Millions of voices rise to him, and he misses none of them. And still he speaks, very personally, one heart at a time. This hour was addressed to them. Their habit of returning to him imperfect and interrupted as it was kept a channel open. They thought their faith was, too, weak to matter. A thread is thin, but if it never snaps, it is enough for him to work along. Theirs never snapped. Consider how a desert crossing changes a traveler. When Israel crossed their wilderness, the distance was short, but the crossing was long because there were things the crossing had to accomplish that the destination could not. A people who had always been ruled had to learn to be free. Trust has to be. They practiced in a place with no other choice. The believer has faced such a crossing. And here is what God wants them to hear. This border stands right before them. They are not stuck in the middle of their wilderness. They are at the far edge of it. The strange sorrow they feel sometimes even, as life improves, is their souls. Goodbye to the hard place it learned to survive in. They should not feel ashamed. Even a desert can become familiar, and the familiar is tough to leave. But they are not called to the familiar. They are called to the far side of this border where the ground yields food they did not have to battle for. On this side of the border, the Lord asks them to lay things down before they cross. Lay down the record of who owes them an apology that never arrived. Lay down the argument. They keep rehearsing for a court that will never convene. Lay down the version of themselves that lives only to prove the doubters wrong. These weigh more than they know, and the promised land is not entered carrying them. Leave them at the border. The Lord will handle what is owed them. Settling accounts is his, and he settles them better than resentment ever could. Who are they on the other side? Not a survivor. Survival was the old. They are an heir walking into their inheritance. A worker stepping into work that was measured to their exact gifts. A voice that certain people are waiting to hear and will not fully receive from anyone else. There are tasks in the coming season, shaped so precisely for them that if they do not do them, they simply wait. The Lord does not reassign what he authored for a particular soul. This is what being, what chosen means, not favoritism, assignment. He chose them for particular work in specific rooms among particular people, and everything they have lived through has qualified them for it in ways no training could. Those who have walked through fire are the only ones who can lead others through fire without flinching. Their qualification cost them dearly. It will not be wasted either. They will recognize the work when they meet it, because it will feel less like ambition and more like remembering. It will use the parts of them they thought were surplus, the odd gifts the first, strange sensitivities, the concerns that never seemed to fit their circumstances. They fit their calling. They were always sized for something they had not seen yet, and they must not fear being too old for it, too late, or too marked by their history. The Lord has a long record of calling people at the wrong age by human standards. He starts late by design because of called. Life starting after these hard seasons carries an authority that early success cannot counterfeit. Their timeline is not behind schedule. It is on His. As they cross into this, keeping their ears tuned to Him daily, not just in crisis. The wilderness taught them to seek Him when things were desperate. The new land will teach them to seek Him when things are good, which is a deeper discipline and a sweeter one. They must not become strangers to Him in their abundance. The best conversations they will ever share are still ahead with Him, and not all of them will be about their needs. He will also tell them the truth about the new season. It will have its own challenges. The Lord never delivers anyone into a life without storms. Yet there is a vast difference between the wilderness storms and the storms of the inheritance. In the wilderness, storms threaten to destroy them. In the inheritance, they only water the ground. Believers will stand in future rain and notice with amazement that they are not afraid. That fearlessness is being built into them right now in this hour as they listen. They must lift their heads. They look across the border at the land He has deeded to them. It is wide, it is good with their name on the title, written in His hand. The crossing is nearly finished, and the land does not know how to withhold itself from the one He sends into it. Now return with Him to where this word began, because He wants to close it the way He opened it. Wonderful news is unfolding over the next 7 hours. He declared it plainly then, and He declares it again now with everything they have heard in between, standing firmly behind it. This was never a vague comfort. It is an announcement, something with their name on it is in motion at this very moment, and it is closer now than when they first began to listen. They should not spend these hours pacing. Announcements from Him are never invitations to anxiety. They should go about their day, but stay awake, keeping a portion of their attention tilted toward Him the way a mother keeps an ear tilted toward another room. They will not need to strain. When His hand moves, the part of them that has been listening will know. It may come as word from a person. It may come as a change in a situation that has refused to shift for months. It might begin as a pure, deep knowing, settled certainty rising in their chest before any outward proof even arrives. These should not be ranked. The inward answer is just as real as any outward sign, and it usually arrives first, much like the light that hits the mountaintop before it reaches the valley. When it comes, they should mark the moment, pausing whatever they are doing, even briefly to acknowledge it came from the Lord. Not because He needs the credit, but because they need the memory. There will be future days when believing feels hard. Again, and on those days they will reach for this specific memory. They must build this memory well, naming the day so it becomes a solid stone they can stand on. God and His child have walked a long road together to reach this hour. They did not always feel Him beside them. There were stretches they would have sworn they walked entirely alone, and He let them swear it without punishing their doubt, because He knew what they could not know. He knew exactly where the road led. Now they are standing almost at the place where it opens up, and He would not let them quit before they saw it. That is why this word found them today. That is why they cannot seem to turn away from it. Hear what He says about completion. What He starts, He finishes. He has never once laid a foundation and walked away. He has never spoken a promise and misplaced it. Every work He has ever begun carries its ending inside it from day one. The way a tiny seed carries the tree, the work in their lives is no exception. It was begun with. Its final completion already written, and no delay they have lived through has edited a single line of it. So he speaks to those lingering doubts directly because he knows they are still in the room. There is a voice suggesting that word seems meant for better people, those whose faith never wavered, and whose records are cleaner than theirs. But that voice misjudges what he seeks. He does not choose the flawless. He never has. One can search every account of his dealings to find a perfect resume among those he called. No one will find it. He chooses the willing, and they are willing, or they would have stopped listening long ago. There is another voice saying that if they allow themselves to believe this and it fails to happen, the fall will break them. He understands that fear. It was built from real falls. But listen, they are not asked to believe in an outcome they invented. They are being asked to trust in a character they have tested. He has been many things to them, but he has never been the one who lied to them. Resting their weight on that it will hold. During these 7 hours, someone may cross their path needing a small kindness. They can give it not as payment for blessings, for his goodness is not for sale, but because generosity is what a heart does when it finally believes. Abundance is real. An open hand is the sign that the fear of scarcity is dying. Let someone else feel the first warmth of what is being lit in them today. And they should not put this promise on trial at the end. First quiet minute, the hours he spoke of are his to fill. And he fills ours the way he fills seeds from the inside, invisibly. And then all at once, when the show breaks open, no one asks anymore what was happening during the silence. They are inside the silence now. The breaking open is not a matter of the elements. It is only about the hour, and that hour has already been chosen. After today, things will never return to their former state, even beyond the good. Arriving in these hours, the believer is being transformed by having truly listened. A soul who hears him. This depth does not return to their old size. They will notice it in small ways first. Prayers with fewer apologies in them and requests made without flinching. A door approached with anticipation instead of a sigh. That is the new posture. It is permanent if they will keep it. He is with them in the first hour when expectation is bright and easy. He is with them in the second hour when the mind begins its old arithmetic of doubt. He is with them in the third hour when the answer breaks the surface and they see with their eyes what they have been holding by faith. And he is with them in every hour after. That in the long good season this day is, opening further than their sight can currently reach. So they go now into these 7 hours with their heads lifted. Let their steps be unhurried and their hearts be loud with expectation. What was promised is not straining to happen. It is simply arriving the way. Morning arrives without effort and without permission, because it was appointed. They have waited through a long night, and they have waited well, and the sky at the edge of their life is already changing. Color. They receive this word in full, carrying it into their day gently the way they would carry something priceless, because that is exactly what it is. He has spoken his word over them deliberately, hour by hour, promise by promise, and he does not scatter his words. Heaven stands firmly behind every sentence they have heard. They declare their belief and they receive it, if they are ready to step into what he has prepared for them. This ministry relies on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or check the pinned comment. May God bless them.